But great to see you all. It's been a minute since our last all SAC meeting. So really glad to have you all back in the space and to reconnect today. We have a exciting agenda filled with some really relevant and timely updates on, first we'll do some inclusion, some connection and breakout rooms. Then we'll have some updates from Anna, who's on the line from ISAC, about the financial aid FAFSA and one-click college admit, which you may have heard of as a new initiative, making the college admissions process more seamless on your end. Then we'll have my colleague Alexia present some information about work-based learning, as I know that was an item of interest for a lot of folks in this group. And then we'll do an activity based on that work-based learning, and we'll go through kind of our homework assignment based on that work-based learning information. And then we will close out for the day. Remembering some of these kind of expectations for participation that you all have been, great to uphold and to keep top of mind in our meetings, but already have completed the first one of folks being on time. So thanks for that. Actively participating in meetings. So making sure that we're, focused on the meeting and camera on, and that we're engaging, over audio, over chat, completing the assignment. So we have an exciting assignment to share with you all at the end of today's session based on work-based learning and kind of collecting some ideas from your peers about work-based learning at your own schools. The third norm being listening to others. Fourth, being respectful, of course, goes with listening and active listening, making sure that we're keeping an open mind to folks' different experiences and backgrounds in the space. Being inclusive, staying open-minded, as I just mentioned, being kind, don't be afraid to talk. So speaking up when you have an idea or a question, not doing other tasks, again, staying focused on our work here. And then when possible, cameras on at all times just helps with staying present and being able to feel like we're more in community, even though we're all dispersed throughout the state. We can see one another, and there's a lot of, body language and facial expressions and things like that that can help us kind of get to know each other better. So thanks everyone for adhering to these norms. And now we'll just chat for 5 minutes or so. We have Anna here from ISAC, but would love to hear your experiences with the last homework assignment that we had. How were your experiences in sharing those ISAC tools with your classmates?
And Madeline, maybe we can stop sharing so we can see each other for a minute. Yeah, you might recall that a few months ago we had you share with your schoolmates the different tools that you learned about from the ISAC student portal, whether it was the PACE framework or the one-click admit. And some of you used posters, some of you did presentations, some of you recorded videos. We just wanted to hear from you what you learned from that experience, what you enjoyed about it, what was challenging. So if anybody wants to speak up and talk a little bit about it.
I found that it was challenging to decide on what to do. I couldn't really, because I had friends, I had clubs, and I had teachers willing to present it. But I'm a bit of a nervous person. So it was me going up to them and being like, hey, can I please present this to my class or to my club? That was difficult for me.
Great, but were students receptive, or how did you feel once you actually did it?
Oh yeah, sorry. Once I did it, yeah, a lot of students afterwards asked me questions about it. They looked it up. They were like, "Oh, okay, where'd you find this up? Because this is really interesting, and thank you for telling me." So I would say students were really receptive to it.
Great.
Totally hear you on the nervous energy. I get that too. So you're not alone. Sorry, who was about to speak?
Sorry, that was me. One of the things that I did was share on the announcements, which I don't think had as much pull because not a lot of students pay attention to the announcements. But I also did like a little graphic design and got that put up, which I enjoyed because I like doing graphic design and I think that went over well. And then I talked to individual students and asked them like what one thing they would do to stay on track was, and like had them like write it down. And I think that that was important because I talked to like individual people and really like made it personal.
Great. Love the different approaches and trying to figure out which one works best.
I did like the same thing that Paige did as well. I emailed the people who are in charge of like the morning announcements, and then they never got back to me, so I didn't have it on that. And then I made like a little presentation because we have like TVs like around the school and in the lunchroom, and it was just like a slide with info on it. And I asked if I could put it up, and they said yeah, but then they only had it up for one day, and they have other stuff up for like weeks at a time. And then I was talking with like my friends about it, and they just didn't really care about it. So I didn't really have the best input or outcome from all of the stuff that I tried.
Thank you for
Well,
trying, though.
yeah, thank you so much for trying. And that happens sometimes. Our outreach doesn't always work out. So it's good to learn from that as well and know sort of what you could try the next time.
Yeah, I thought it would be so I just went to share the presentation to people that I knew at school to make it so like we knew each other more, so it'll be easier to like talk to them about it. It wouldn't be weird just randomly going up to someone. So I thought it would be best to talk to my friends about it. Like one to one at the group table, something like lunch, stuff like that.
Great. That's a great approach as well.
I had a similar experience to Paige. I have a really big school and we have a lot of TVs all over the place. We also have morning announcements, so I emailed the principal and the vice principal and some of the deans, and then we actually have a college advisor at our school, so I emailed her too because she also works in the announcement slides that they send out to the school. And so I did a graphic design thing too, which I really enjoy doing stuff like that, and I sent them into them, and they contacted me and we had a meeting about it together, but it never went up. So I think they just forgot about it. And so then I was like, I guess I should just share this with other people because I don't want to just like not do anything. So I just kind of like went around to my friends at lunch and stuff, and I was like, can I just share this with you? Because I don't want to just not do anything about it. So, and they took well to it because a lot of people at my school are involved in work-based right now, especially seniors. So they were just really interested in looking at stuff going into the workforce and going into college. So they really responded to it.
Great. Well, thank you for not giving up.
And then, yeah, Anna put a question in the chat if you want to respond there. From your student perspective, what helps with getting resources to catch your eyes? So some of you mentioned graphic design. That's really cool when you can make it kind of creative and fun to look at. What other things kind of make it catch your eye?
So I did like I did a video presentation and I worked with the counselor at my school to get it just emailed to everyone because I thought that a lot of the students at my school aren't really going to pursue higher learning. So I thought I'd give them the option to watch it and not watch it. And I did have some students come up to me and ask follow-up questions and say, "Hey, this is pretty cool. Where'd you learn about this?" But I think I also lost the like one-on-one connection that some of these other people were getting. So.
Good insight for sure to know kind of how the different approaches you get either more personal or more broad reach. So there's kind of a trade-off there.
Me and Daniela, we decided to do posters because our school, we do announcements as well. I think like Paige said, like the students don't really pay attention to it. So we decided to like make a little poster and hang it around the school with like a QR code so they can just scan it with their phones.
It's a great idea. Make it really accessible.
Also said me and Nevaeh did the same thing with the
QR code in the flyers and also putting it on our TVs around school. And I did catch a couple of kids like scanning it in the hallway with their phones, so that was fun to see that someone was actually paying attention at like to it and actually trying to scan it and figure out what it was.
That's great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing that. I think it'll come in handy because we have another homework assignment for you that will require you to share information with your peers. And so just keep what folks said in mind and think about different ways that you could share information.
All right. So now we will transition to Anna, who will talk to us about some updates and some information about FAFSA and one-click college admit.
Thank you. Wait, let me make sure I'm on mute. All right, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So because this is like almost like 50-50, half of you are seniors, half of you are juniors almost. We're gonna be touching on two things. The first one being what happens after the FAFSA. Um, I know that last time we met, we touched on the FAFSA briefly. It is an application. It is the first step in the financial aid process. There's a lot of even scholarships that require you to complete the FAFSA in order for you to be awarded whatever the scholarship is. And also, it is a high school graduation requirement. So I hope that this isn't the first time you hear about the FAFSA. And if you need assistance with it, just know that the Illinois Student Assistance Commission is here to assist with all of those steps if you need it. Sorry, I am on my browser because they don't let me download Zoom. Let me find the share button. Oh, here it is. All right, so are you seeing? Okay, perfect. I do see it. So for a couple of next steps, if you completed your FAFSA and don't know the status of your FAFSA, it's going to be really important for you to check the status of your FAFSA. You can do that by logging into studentaid.gov and looking into it. Make sure that you and your parent, if you are required to report parent information, both completed your section to ensure that the FAFSA was actually submitted. That's going to be really important. Financial aid, the state financial aid grant, MAP grant, is going to be on a first come, first served basis. The money does run out. So you want to make sure that you have that submission date because the submission date is what is used as like your place in line. So even if you have to go back and fix things, as long as you submitted it, that's the date that we receive. So making sure you know the status of that. Then making sure you're going through your FAFSA submission summary. So that is the document. It lives on studentaid.gov, but also you should have received an email. Review it. Oftentimes, if you were selected for a process that's called verification, which means like something didn't match up between the information you provided on the FAFSA and like what other information they had from like other federal agencies. So if something didn't match up, you simply just have to come back and like review it. So the FAFSA submission summary will let you know if you were selected for verification. Now, if you do follow up with this, if you do get selected for verification, follow up with the institutions that you applied to make sure that you are providing whatever documentations they're asking you for. This isn't this isn't something like you did it wrong and it cannot be fixed. Sometimes it's small things. Sometimes I was selected for verification every single year that I was in college. If the type of verification I was selected for was that my parents' taxes didn't match like what I was reporting. So I needed to make sure that that information was correct. Same thing, if you get selected for verification It could be for maybe you didn't include your middle name as part of the FAFSA, right? So that now you just have to follow up with the institution about that. It could be something, if you listed no income, following up with the institution a lot after that. So it's items that you just need to verify. It's really, really important that you complete the verification process if you're selected, because you will not receive a financial aid offer from the institution. Even if they admitted you, even if they accepted you, you won't know how much financial aid you're eligible for until you complete that verification process. If you start hearing from your friends about, hey, I'm getting my financial aid offers, I'm comparing them, check in your email, see if maybe like any communication from the school or university like went to your spam folder and you didn't catch it. Or check if you got a student portal account with the college, the institution, the university. Check to see if maybe they sent you something through there. So in addition to being selected for verification, being part of your FAFSA submission summary, if you happen to like not look at this, the universities will follow up with you to make sure that you do have information about what are the next steps that you need to do. Again, this step is going to be super important for you because this is going to be the way that you get your financial aid offers. So a good like indicator to me that a student might have been selected for verification is usually if it's like maybe April, which is a little bit late, and you haven't received your financial aid offer. Once you start receiving your financial aid offers, making sure that you are comparing them and seeing the type of financial aid that is available for you and you're being offered. A couple of things to look for in your financial aid offers is you're wanting to make sure that whatever scholarships they're offering you. So I know a lot of universities have scholarships for incoming freshmen. They tend to be around $2,000 to $3,000. Making sure that if you are being offered that it's not just a freshman scholarship, right? That's $3,000 is a lot of money to not have your sophomore year of college. So you want to make sure that whatever aid is being given to you can be renewed for the follow-up year. So that you don't end up your sophomore year being $3,000 short just because, sometimes they do package it really nicely the first year. The other thing you want to look out for is a financial aid package that really would be beneficial for the student. It would be one that has more gift aid rather than student loans, making sure that you are being able to identify those two items, what's student loans and what's gift aid. Gift aid is always going to be money that doesn't have to be paid back. So think about the Pell Grant that comes from the federal government. Think about the MAP grant that comes from the state of Illinois. Think about institutional scholarships. Those are going to be money that you do not have to pay back. And really pay attention to that. A lot of students, what I've seen working with students is universities tend to package maybe Parent Plus loans. That's a loan that your parent would have to give for you. Even though it seems like you're paying zero out of pocket, that loan needs to be paid back. So really paying attention to those financial aid offers so that you're able to make like the best financial decision. And so that you're not, again, stuck on your sophomore year or your junior year, not really knowing where the funding would come from. So those are some of the things that you want to make sure you're doing after you submit the FAFSA. Another thing with financial aid offers and why you want to get through verification as soon as possible is because a lot of the times there's items that those universities or colleges might be offering you that if you're like, you know what, I literally just need like $1,000 more. Like if you are able to provide me with that assistance, then like I can commit to your university. So having your financial aid offers as soon as possible, being able to see what's in there can help with having enough time to file what's called a financial aid appeal. most colleges, they do have a section on their website that has templates as to like filing appeals for financial aid offers. So it's really important that you do it early on so you can get whatever it is that whatever documents that they need sent to them on time. Checking in, that was a lot of information in 10 minutes. Any questions? And again, I mean, I'll share my email one more time on the chat. If you have any questions once you start receiving them, you can follow up with me and we can connect. All right. This one is going to be for the juniors. This is a new resource. It's not new. It's existed, but what's come out of it is a lot newer. So we have one-click college admit. This is available or was available for the seniors, but we're moving on to the juniors being able to sign up for it. So you are able to come on oneclickadmit.org. And then what this does is you complete the Common App. This connects you to colleges in the state of Illinois that would look at some of the information you provide, including your grades, and help with colleges and universities that you would be what's called directly admitted to. So based on your GPA and items that you report on this application, you can possibly start your senior year already having completed this application, which means it would let you know if you're eligible or admitted to all of these colleges in the state of Illinois. Direct admissions is not a newer program, but this specifically is here to support students in the state of Illinois. Even universities that might require you to file like an additional application, this is going to help with like not having to pay that fee waiver for the college applications. So this is available now. You would go to oneclickadmit.org. And then once you go into the website, you would go into high school juniors. Again, it removes that application fees, essays, and letters of recommendation. So you don't need to do that. It does expedite the admission process. And then it ensures your spot at an Illinois university or local community college. You're not going to start receiving anything your junior year. This is something that you would opt into it right now. And this isn't like advertising or anything like that. This is specifically from the state of Illinois. There's no scams on this or anything like that. This is going to help with knowing like what public universities and public community colleges you would be eligible for. So you select high school junior. And you would complete that opt-in form. Now, most juniors are under the age of 18. So this is something that you would need a parent to opt in for you if you are under the age of 18. But once the parent provides that consent, that automatically would get you in. It'll connect you even with your counselor. Your counselor is going to be made aware of everyone who opted into this. There's frequently asked questions about how it works. What do I do after my opt-in form is submitted? How do I accept one-click college admissions offers? You'll see all of that information on here. The great thing about this is that this is meant to increase even awareness. There's universities that maybe you hadn't thought about, but based on your profile and your grades, it might seem or push you to explore it a little bit further so that you're able to see what programs they have available, knowing that it's almost like if you've talked about it with your counselors where we have a safety or reach, I forgot all three of them. Safety, reach.
Target? Is that still the term?
Yes. Okay, perfect. So it'll help out with that. So it has all of the institutions that are participating. You'll see that you are being offered direct admissions in one spot, so you don't have to receive a ton of emails from them. You'll see it in one spot. And then if you're interested, then you can move forward with it. So it's really neat. Even the grade component, reporting your grades on here, this is something that's going to be handled by your counselors. There is nothing to do on your end other than being able to opt into the form. Do you have any questions? Now, because you are under the age of 18 and this is something that your parents would be opting into, I do suggest on our student portal, you're able to set up or book a meeting with one of our ISAC core members. So if you need someone else to explain it to your parents, you know, sometimes I know my sister, if my nephew or niece asks her to do anything, she needs 100 pages of information and she needs a summary from them. If that's the case for you too, I highly suggest booking a meeting with an ISAC core member, letting them know I'm interested in opting in. Can you explain it to my parents? And they can do the work for you. But yeah, that's available, and I'll drop those links on the chat as well. Are there any questions? For all of the seniors, how many applications did you have to fill out? So you can just let the juniors know how great it would have been if you can just opt in and not have to apply to 12 universities.
A lot. A lot of applications.
Yeah, so this is great, and this is through the state agencies working together to make this experience better for the students.
I'm curious, how many people are considering going to a university in Illinois? Grayson? Anybody else? Paige? Josh? Okay, so this could be helpful for you.
Lydia.
Definitely. For everyone considering going out of state, keep in mind that the MAP grant, that's just if you stay in the state of Illinois, which is a little bit over $8,000. That's over $8,000 of free money that you do not have to pay back that you might be eligible for. Keeping that in mind. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'll share the links to these two items.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was really great information. And again, this meeting is recorded, so if anyone wants to hear that again, or again, check out the links that she'll drop in the chat. You can reach out to any of us and her as well with questions, but really exciting opportunities. And I second what she said about appealing financial aid. I did that, tell a school, hey, I really love your school, but I need a little bit more. Chances are that they'll meet you there, at least meet you halfway. So definitely recommend that. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get to our next agenda item, work-based learning. So I'll hand it over to Alexia, and she'll talk to us about all things work-based learning.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here with you all today. That is a really great tool, this one click. I went to school in Ohio and only applied to 3 schools, and I feel like maybe I would have ended up somewhere different if I had a resource that eased some of that. So, but anyway, my name's Alexia Santiago. I'm the innovation manager with Ed Systems, and I support just ensuring that students have access to work-based learning. And so today I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about what that means. You all may have heard it. I'll have a chance to ask you all what you know about it, I think on the next slide here. But what I'm going to kind of walk us through is what Illinois uses for their reference of work-based learning. So before we get into that, do any of you, have you heard about work-based learning? Feel free to use the chat too. Do you know any of these components that you see here on the screen or anything? What does it make you think of when you hear work-based learning? And you can come off mute or add in the chat.
My school actually has a work-based learning program, and I think we had the most students this year in it. It was about 40 something this semester of us, but I also participated in it, and a lot of us just got to intern at a lot of places just in our own town and in towns outside of ours. And so we were all kind of commuting for like the first 2 hours of school or the last 2 hours of school and going to work for those programs.
Awesome. What were you able to, for you, what were you able to kind of see?
Mine was actually a lot more than I thought I was going to see. I was working in the counseling office at one of the junior highs, and I was just kind of all in, like right there with the counselor in all situations when it was like interactions one-on-one with students or even stuff that had to do with like DCFS, like the more serious things. They just wanted me to see all of that, and it was really important to them that I knew what I was getting into, wanting that to be my career in social work and stuff, so that they would be like, if this isn't something you want to do, we wouldn't want you to go to college and find out 2 years after you've taken the schooling that this isn't something that's for you. So they just kind of like put me in that and let me see everything and treated me just like I was any other worker there. So
I love that. Thank you for that example. That is a great kind of tangible, something that you can kind of explain if you're, sharing it with other students as something that you were able to learn while in school, but centered around a profession or something that you might be interested in doing after you graduate and are looking to start whatever career journey you might be taking on next. Anyone else have anything similar or anything they've experienced at their schools?
So like for work, for like works-based learning, basically like for stuff as like learning about like specifically like stuff in the technical field, like engineering, welding, stuff like that, like any trades, like going to somewhere to learn about trades and stuff and getting a real world experience on it and like actually doing it instead of just learning about it in class.
Awesome. Thank you. Another good example, and it has a few different components that we're going to talk about. So thank you all for sharing. We'll move to the next slide, and we'll kind of get into ways that this might show up in your schools, in ways that you maybe can engage if you come across some of these opportunities. So this is our work-based learning continuum that the state kind of grounds us in when we think about what's a high quality kind of experience for you all as you're moving through your high school experience. You'll see that on the left, it talks about that managing organization. Really, that just means this is like at your school. What are some of the things that your school might be able to incorporate or have available for you? And the goal is that you all would experience these elements at some point in your kind of lifespan in your high school. And it doesn't necessarily have to just be one of these experiences, right? We want to be able to move through these experiences. And as you go through the continuum, the experiences do get more intensive. So at the beginning, it makes sense you're building the foundation all the way through something that would require more time, energy, and effort as an apprenticeship might be. So we're going to break down each of these components here quickly, and then we'll get into our activity. So as I mentioned, at the earlier part of the continuum is really about laying a foundation. So when we think about career awareness, this is the first stage. This is really just trying to get you all to think about what interests do you have. So a lot of these kind of beginning conversations are maybe through an interest survey. Maybe you've had a class where you've had to kind of reflect on some of your just general interests in different career paths, or more reflection on what type of worker you might be or things that you want to do. So we have, maybe there's presentations or videos that your classes might share as well. So really just building awareness. And then we get into career exploration, which is really digging deeper into what that industry is. So this will explore specific industries or jobs that you might be interested in. This could look like maybe a guest speaker comes to your classroom. Maybe you have a career fair where you can meet a lot of different folks and see a lot of different types of industries. Or it could look like mentoring or job shadowing. So that kind of just gets a little bit deeper into exploring what those options are for you. Next slide. So then we move into team-based challenges. So again, as we think about the intensity of these kind of opportunities growing as we get into the middle of the continuum, the team-based challenges are an opportunity for you to work alongside peers, other students, alongside an industry mentor to actually problem solve a kind of mock problem. So maybe there's a police officer that's your expert mentor that helps you solve a set up crime scene. But you're really just immersed in that actual industry, and you're able to think about what are those essential job skills that might go into problem solving and thinking about how you might solve a crime alongside that support. So that's just an example of kind of what a team-based challenge could be like. Sometimes these are embedded into a course. Sometimes there are competitions that a district might host and kind of put different teams against each other and see who has the best kind of outcome. And then we also have career and technical student organizations. So this could be like a Skills USA type of event where you'll be able to participate in that kind of team-based challenge as well. And then our kind of last components here are in that career development experience and apprenticeship piece. So these are the most intensive and time required pieces. So sometimes these are school credit opportunities. And really this is just even more concentrated supervised work experience where you are actually in your career of interest. I saw a comment about being able to internship at the hospital. That's a great example of what a career development experience and internship would look like. So this is, again, you're in the workplace, you're actually understanding what's required when you arrive to the hospital. What kind of procedures do I need to do to make sure I'm punching in my time card or whatever it might be. But you're actually doing the things that are required of someone who is actually in that position, or as much as you're able to do. You're not doing surgery on the job, but maybe some of the other tasks that allow you to experience some of those things you're able to participate in. And so this piece requires collaboration between the school and some of those business partners or community partners that are bringing students in to have these experiences. Part of this also should be that you're getting feedback while you're participating. So there should be some kind of coaching element or opportunity for those folks to share back with you what they're observing in the way that you are participating and showing up. And then there should also be an hours met of 60 supervised hours that you're able to participate in. So before I move on to our activity, I'll just pause there and just see if anyone has any questions or if now that we've gone through it, if there's anything that is standing out to you that you were able to participate in school, or something that you might have heard that might fall within the continuum. Because even though we have this language, it might be called something different at your school, and that's totally fine. If you have these opportunities to engage, definitely take advantage of them. And it sounds like a lot of you are. Also, for being here today and a part of this group is an amazing thing that you're committed to as well. So congrats on that. And yes, as Madeline mentioned in the chat, that the team-based challenges are part of that career and pathway endorsement. So if you do have an opportunity to participate, keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to
Madeline, maybe, sorry,
ahead.
Alexia, could we, I saw Paige Emerson said they have this at her school, and she's heard great things about it. Paige, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've heard? Paige Emerson, I think that's you.
Yes. So it's only offered for seniors at my school. We have community involvement, which is a course that you can take. And there's one of my friends, she was unsure what she wanted to go to college for, but she was in a classroom, an English classroom, and now she has decided that she wants to go to school to become an English teacher. So it really helped benefit her career path.
That's great. I saw Madeline clapping.
I was an English teacher, so yes, love that.
Yeah, so part of I won't give too much away about the assignment, but I do think that that's a good point to think about, like maybe reflect on what the capacity is at your school, or things that you would maybe like to see that maybe they don't have available yet at your schools, but what might be helpful for exploring some of these things. Or I know a lot of you are on your way to leaving your school, but think about maybe how you can support maybe the next couple of classes that are coming behind you, and suggesting some work-based learning opportunities and ways that you can experience and get connected with. If you want to be an English teacher, be an English teacher a little bit, and be more certain on some of the things that you want to explore. So the activity that I have for us today is an interactive Menti poll. So if you can enter it on your desktop, or you can use your phone, whatever is easier for you. I'll have a QR code. And if you remember back to the first career awareness piece, this Menti will really just kind of get you in the mindset of reflection and thinking about what are some things that you naturally lean towards. There are going to be some general questions about your preferences, but some of them will be more tied to what you might bring to a workplace. So an aptitude test is something that you might take or have taken already. And this is just an assessment for just like, what are you already bringing, what kind of skills do you already possess, and how might that build your decision making when you're thinking about what you want to do for a career. So if you're using a desktop, you can go to menti.com, and there's a code up at the top. And then there's also a QR code. Oh, we got a vote. So this first question is just, I am a morning person, night owl. Okay, all right. We're going to have to find some opportunities in the afternoon, I think, for this group. Okay. I will move us to the next question here. I like to do work with music and silence. I need focus. Okay, we're more mixed on this one. I prefer clear instructions or figuring things out myself. Okay, next one. I work best on a team or on my own. Okay, we got some independent wolves out there. Okay. I would rather lead the group or help behind the scenes. Makes sense. Got a lot of leaders in this group. And also, you can lead from behind the scenes as well. All right, next one. I'd like my job to be indoors or outdoors.
Definitely not outdoors on a day like today.
Right. All right. I would like my work to be people focused or more technology focused. Okay. I would like a set schedule or flexible hours. I would prefer a job that is meaningful to me or a job that pays a living wage. And hopefully we can find both of those existing at the same time. But for the purpose of this activity, I'm making you choose. Okay. And when thinking about starting out in a job, I would like to learn on the job or train before starting. Okay. So that's the last of my questions. So I do have a couple of reflections for us to kind of chat through. You can either enter in your thoughts or just come off of mute and share. What are some of those questions, those preferences that stood out the most to you? So maybe something that surprised yourself, or when you're thinking about the group, maybe there was a higher number in one of the questions that kind of stood out to you. Okay, we're all leaders. People can work in silence. Yep, I usually have to have my lo-fi beats in the background. Yeah, the learn on the job and training before, that was pretty even. And again, hopefully those exist kind of together. person-based work being preferred over technology-based? Noise will distract me and I don't want to be fired, so I need quietness. Fair. I want to be able to work when I want, but also make money. Yeah. Yes. Meaningful work. I love that call out and appreciation in your comments. Cool. Okay, my next question for you. So how might thinking about your preferences, and I think some of you kind of spoke to this on the last slide, but how can those preferences and understanding what those are for you might help you make more informed decisions when you're thinking about your college and career next steps?
I think that being interested in a career in theory, but then evaluating yourself and realizing that a lot of your habits or your like everyday likes don't necessarily match up with that, that then you can have time to reconsider or really think it through before you're already in the career going down the path and you're like, oh, maybe my regular life doesn't line up with this.
Yeah, I love that. And I think part of some of the work-based learning experiences allow you to kind of find out what are some things that you don't want to do before you get to that point where it might be a little more scary. So as much as you're able to try and participate, take advantage of that time now, and know that people change their careers many times. So even if you do find yourself in a role after a while that you're not particularly enjoying as much as you thought, think about some of those skills that you've learned and how they might transfer into other places. But I think that's a really good thank you, Paige, for sharing. To think about, yeah, how can you take some time to think about what might be realistic for me versus not. I had to rule out nursing very quickly because I can't do bodies. So you can pick a college that supports those preferences. It helps you understand what you like. All right, I have one more question for you all. And that is, what is one word that you would use to describe how you're feeling about navigating work-based learning opportunities? Intrigued, curious, open-minded, excited, love to see it. Empowered. Adventurous. I like that. All right. Thank you all. Seeing a lot of curious, intrigued, empowered, open-minded. These are great. If you have more questions, feel free to share that with Edith, with Madeline. And if there's any other kind of questions I can help answer for you all, or we have time right now. If there's any other questions that you have, we can chat through, but I'm glad you all are feeling curious and intrigued and wanting to know more and participate, and you'll be able to have an opportunity to explore work-based learning more. So I will stop sharing here. Thrilled Oh, I kind of want to keep it up. These are great.
Thank you, Alexia. That was a really awesome overview of work-based learning and all the ways that it shows up in our high school experience and into college, and especially that activity too. Like I was even thinking some of those questions too, like, yeah, what do I like to work in silence? I guess I switch it up sometimes, and yeah, it's a really good kind of way to think about what makes you happy, you know? Like a job isn't just about a paycheck, it's about fulfillment and emotional and mental health. So, all important considerations when thinking about exploration. And just like you said, you can test things out. You can always try something new. You can always be, as you all sound excited, intrigued, adventurous. Like use that energy to kind of test different things and see what sticks with you. So we'll talk a bit now about the homework assignment for today's session. It's going to be connected to what Alexia just shared. And again, it'll get you into your school communities, chatting with fellow students and friends about what folks know about work-based learning, what they want to know, what questions they have, what interests they have. So we'll talk through what that assignment looks like. It's essentially going to be somewhat similar to the assignment that you did with the ISAC tools, where but now instead of kind of just presenting the information to students, you're going to be collecting information from students and then presenting that to an adult at your school, whether it's a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, sharing that knowledge that you've gained from your peers and their experiences and perspectives. So there are two steps to this assignment. The first step is that research piece. So up to you whether you want to do a written survey like a Google form where you can put up flyers with a QR code, or you can do more kind of intimate personal focus groups. So our SAC presenters are kind of experts now in the focus group model, but it's really just a research term that refers to like a structured kind of interview type research practice where you can kind of get those more anecdotal experiences that students are having. And then you can kind of review the results that you have from that conversation with students and pull out kind of themes or quotes that speak to the narrative about, whatever findings emerge from your research. So that's step one. You'll kind of uncover those challenges or barriers or questions or uncertainties, and also interests and excitement that students have about work-based learning. And then your second step of the assignment is to then present that to, again, an adult at your school, a teacher, counselor, administrator. And this is totally flexible for how you want to present it and using your own voice and your skills. So you can choose to do maybe a video, a poster, a slideshow, write out a memo. That's as folks that work in policy, memo is kind of a common language that we use, but it's totally up to you how you want to convey that information. So what you'll turn into us, and I'll talk through in just a moment, I'll show what the note catcher looks like, but you'll turn in both your findings. So either the note catcher that has your responses from the focus group, or you can turn in a file with the, like when you do a Google form or a written survey, you can easily get like an Excel file of those responses. So you'd turn in one of those two, and then you'd also turn in that presentation, whether it's the video, the photo, the poster or the memo, whatever you decide to do for your presentation. So those two pieces you'll upload to the assignment 2 folder, which is linked here, and it's within the SAC folder that we all have access to on Drive. And that'll be due by February 13th. So a few weeks from today, gives you some time to, maybe spend a week on that research part, spend a week on that presentation part. And let me show you well, before we get to the note catcher, again, our SAC presenters for the conference next month have talked about this piece, and maybe folks in the general SAC also have an idea of a representative sample. Maybe you've heard of it in math or statistics class, but a representative sample really just means Of course, you're not surveying every single member of your school community. That would be exhausting and a lot of work. But representative sample is kind of taking a smaller portion of that population, but making sure that it represents kind of the broader population at your school. So we want to make sure that we're not overrepresenting maybe, female students or students of a certain, racial or ethnic background, or students that are all freshmen, or students that are all seniors. We want to make sure we are representing the whole population of our school with maybe one or two members of our focus group or one or two members of our survey results with that representative sample. So if you are doing that written survey, maybe that means you're distributing it to specific people, or when you collect your results, maybe you have a question like, what is your gender? What is your race? Things like that, to make sure that you're collecting data that's representative of your whole student body. So this will help you really have strong findings and strong conclusions and recommendations that you can then make to your teacher, counselor, administrator about student perspectives on work-based learning. It'll help lend a lot of credibility to your research when you have a well-rounded and representative sample of folks that you've talked to. So these are some questions before we get to the note catcher that Alexia brainstormed for this assignment, just to, like we talked about today, just to kind of get fellow students minds turning and kind of brainstorming around what opportunities already exist, what do you wish you had at your school, what are some of the challenges or barriers, whether it's like transportation or time. I know time is a very precious resource for high school students. Ideas around like how your school can better engage students in these opportunities, how you would want to be recruited or learn about these opportunities, what you would want that mentorship to look like. So if you're working with someone in the industry, like how do you want to be building a professional relationship with that person? Do you want them to be kind of giving you tips about, what to pursue in college? Or would you want them to kind of tell you the pros and cons of their work, what a day in the life looks like, those types of questions? And finally, what types of questions or who would you want to talk to at your school to learn more? That's another great question you can ask. So these are just a starting place for you all to use. Of course, you can take these questions and add your own. You can change these to kind of match your school context. So again, if you are doing a focus group, this is what you would turn in with your student responses. If you're doing a written survey, maybe you just pull the questions from here and then you turn in kind of the Excel or the document with your survey answers. But the first section here is respondent information. So this is kind of showing how you kind of crafted what you call the methodology. So how you decided who to interview or talk to for this process. So the number of respondents that you had, would suggest, anywhere from like 10 to 15 students if you're able to. 10 is probably a good round number just because you can have a couple representatives from each grade. You can make sure that it's balanced by gender and things like that. Then you would put in kind of method of how you chose them. So some of our SAC members had really creative ways of making this pretty random. So either kind of randomly selecting tables at lunch to go up to and share your survey, or someone had like a wheel of names that they use for giveaways. And so they spun the wheel, picking a number 1 through 10, things like that. Again, like maybe a QR code with a survey could be a good way to make sure that it's just kind of open-ended for whoever wants to engage. A random assortment of folks can engage. And then you would document kind of the characteristics of your group. So of the students that you talk to, tell us more about those students. What's their background, making sure that you have that representative sample. And then down here is where you're putting the findings. So if you are typing this on your computer, the link in the slides and the link that I'll share in the email after today's meeting will have, you'll be able to edit and make a copy and just type in. But if you're printing, you may want to just make the boxes bigger and then print it. But it has all those questions for you to consider when you're talking to your peers. And then the second step of the assignment, you will then kind of take what you've heard from your fellow students, summarize them, put it into whatever presentation mode you select, and then you'd upload that as well to the assignment to folder.
It will be really helpful information for us to be able to share with other educators, administrators, and state agency folks from around the state so that they can get an idea of how students are thinking about work-based learning, what the challenges are, and what's working well. So we really appreciate your willingness to do that. And that's your role as an advisory committee. That's how we take this information and share it with other people across the state.
I'm really excited to see what you all hear from your peers and how you decide to present that to folks that can kind of take action for your school. So yeah, just as Alexia was mentioning earlier, like you're a senior, this is a great way to kind of leave a legacy of like, yeah, I kind of sparked some ideas with maybe staff at my school about like, this is what matters for students and this is what they want to see. Can be really exciting to see that happen.
So thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insights and all your active engagement today.